only found out recently that there's actually a label for these bands, these specific bands that are coming out of the UK right now, that are all being branded together in this post-punk world, I guess you could say. But yeah, they're windmill bands. I didn't realise, but yeah, of course, there's the Windmill in Brixton, and it was a big thing in the 2000s. Lots of other bands were kind of labelled this, and then of course later on, way past the 2000s, we have this new wave that have kind of reignited this term. So I didn't even know that, so I'm glad to at least know that I'm learning as I go along. But yes, you don't need me to give you some background to these bands. Squid, Black Country New Road, many others too now. If you're clicking on this video to watch this review, you are aware of all of them, and you are certainly aware of what Black Midi have contributed to rock music over the past few years. Their live performances have been absolutely legendary. I haven't even seen any like in person, but watching them online just is enough for me to say these guys are fucking legends. And also, these cunts are mental, because these cunts really are mental. Their shows, their songs, their approach to music, it's all absolutely bonkers, and it's so good as well. I really ended up loving and growing to love Schlagenheim, which was their first album in 2019. I liked it at first, but it really grew on me once I started to see those songs. Again, I haven't seen them live, but in a live context, the songs just kind of started to make more sense, and the album just really grew on me, and I kept playing it over and over again. Then you've got Cavalcade, which wasn't even that long ago. I did like that. I'm sort of waiting for that one to grow on me too. I have a feeling it will. My review was pretty lukewarm at the time. It's not been one I've gone back to really for quite a while, so I have a feeling it could do a Schlagenheim and really grow on me. But this, I will say, this album right here, Hellfire, is truly the first album of theirs that didn't need any time at all. Immediately this shit just hit. And when I say hits, I mean in multiple kinds of ways. This shit hits the fan, this shit hits the goop, this shit hits the brain. I don't even know, I'm just saying shit now, but this album is really, really mad. It's just madness. And I think it's one of those albums that the album title and the album cover perfectly captures exactly what the music gives you. It's such an absolute ride, an event of an album that takes you in all kinds of different directions. Immediately from sugar to an absolute hellish circus, this track is a nightmare. And it is a circus living in a nightmare. In fact, it could even soundtrack the bloody Dead by Daylight map that is literally just like in this kind of like fairground circus, if you've ever played that game. Can't remember the name of the particular map, but if you're an avid fan of the game, you'll know which one I mean. It's got Cardiacs written all over it. I think Cardiacs is a fantastic band that do get their flowers, but compared to some other like rock bands of that era, they're definitely lower down the echelons, and they should be higher up, because Cardiacs made such creative and inventive music, and Black Midi bringing that kind of style back to a modern day, I massively applaud them for it. And then you've got Eat Men Eat, which carries on this run of tracks, which is phenomenal, and I'll get to the end of the run. Well, there isn't really an end, but I'll explain. Anyway, this track again is just a totally different style and atmosphere, vocally totally different. You've got a bit of Oxbow coming through as well, another great name drop, like Cardiacs, two fantastic bands. Just an immediate stab to the face, these tracks. I mean, especially the ending of Eat Men Eat, which is just such a manic closing moments to the song, nicely joins into the Welcome to Hell track, which was the single for this album, which immediately for me was fantastic. Again, a bit that Cardiacs kind of coming through with the vocals. I love it the way he says, listen, and then he kind of like lists off a bunch of random things. It is really like he's a tour guide on the sort of night bus traveling through hell. For the, you know, you're on that bus, you're going through hell for the first time, you need someone to kind of show you what's what, point out the different scenes. There's some dead bodies over there, there's some fire over there, and he is the tour guide of this. He's pointing out all kinds of shit. He sounds exactly like that kind of character. The build at like 308-ish or whatever it is just relentless. The drumming at this stage, the drumming. You know when I am impressed with drumming, every time I do this, I do the same shit. The drums. Just cannot for the life of me comprehend how good this drummer is. He just sets the tone for all the tracks. I almost feel like he might be like the tone setter of their songs. He's the one just going all crazy, and everyone else is just sort of there like, right, shit, okay, he's doing this shit now. He's off it. He's off his rocker again. We got to keep up with him. We got to just improvise and do whatever he's doing. The race is about to begin has just such an insane section as well, where everything just goes off the heezy, to be quite frank with you. And the fucking vocalist, how he keeps up with this is one to watch for a live show. If he can keep up with this pace and this sort of like relentless delivery that just never slows down, you can barely hear him take a breath. This part of the song is ridiculous. I'd love to see how he manages to cope with this in a live show. He probably can. I mean, he's one of the most unique singers out there at the moment. You know, usually those kinds of names, those kinds of voices that are just so unique, that sound nothing like anyone else, are usually able to, you know, be capable of doing things nothing like anyone else. And that's the thing about this band. I mean, even Cavalcade, which I wasn't as excited about, you know, you can't really comprehend the process that goes into how they come up with their songs. And Schlagenheim was similar too. But this album here is like a combination of both those albums and beyond that, because some of the sections of these tracks, like this one particularly, and then the way it transitions into that Americana folky ending, it's just like, where are they coming up with these things? They truly are unique. The theatrical nature of the defense as well. This honestly sounds like it could be on Broadway or something, you know, on the West End. Like, it sounds like that kind of song, that kind of moment for the character in a story, where they just have their moment to shine and they're just singing in such a dramatic way. Like, the way he switches up his tone across these tracks is insane. It's ridiculous, to be honest, but it sounds so good as well. It's got this magical essence feeling to it. It's so weirdly comforting, this track, compared to some of the other ones. This is what I mean with this album, man. There's just no rhyme or reason to anything, but while also it does feel like it's structured and it isn't just randomness for the sake of randomness being thrown at a wall. Like, it has such a great balance of feeling completely random while also feeling completely purposeful. I even love it when they totally slow it down with Still. I mean, sure, it is a bit of a jarring thing to come right after Welcome to Hell, but it is actually a really nice track and it offers a much different tone to most of the other songs on this album. Yeah, 27 Questions as well. Another thing about this album, like in terms of storytelling and painting a picture, there's some fantastic moments, and I think this final track is a great one for that as well. And the way he like switches up his voice again in the second half of the track, I mean, if you've ever listened to any Randy Newman, please tell me right now that this man right here sounds so much like Randy Newman at that point. And while we're on the topic of Randy Newman, by the way, goddamn, this section here that I'm referring to sounds a lot like The Great Debate by Randy Newman, and it is on his album Dark Matter. I would love to know if there's any kind of crossover from this band and having any kind of influence from Randy, because this track, this bit is uncanny, and it sounds so much like The Great Debate. And by the way, The Great Debate, what a song that is. If you've never heard that, it's sensational. But yeah, anyway, comparisons aside, name drops aside, this album's really like nothing else out there, man. It's so manic, it's so chaotic, but it feels, again, like I've already said, it feels purposeful. It feels like everything that they do is there for a reason and they know how to do it. I'm not going to sit here and act like this is for everyone, by the way. There is totally and quite clearly an acceptable opinion that, you know, views this album as terrible. I have no disdain towards anyone that hates this. I wouldn't expect people to stick on a track like Welcome to Hell and immediately enjoy it. But because I have followed this band and because I do like this style of rock and this kind of animated, theatrical, over-the-top, cartoonish, bizarre approach to rock music, I just like this quite a bit. I think this is really, really good. Don't forget as well, the breakout album from the band Horsey last year were doing similar things to this, by the way. They're kind of like circus, weird theatrical moments that made absolutely no sense, but they were batshit insane at the same time and really enjoyable. Go check out their album Debonair from last year, because I feel like there are some parallels here. And obviously they're not quite as popular or as well known as Black Midi 2. So Horsey definitely needs to be checked out if you like this. Anyway, yeah, this is fantastic. Black Midi really setting the scene, setting the tone for other bands to come after them now and kind of deliver what they can. Probably aren't many bands that can deliver what they can, to be honest, but they are the trailblazers at the moment, and it's fantastic to see. The music is so good, it's so enjoyable, it's so ridiculous, but at the same time, just hard to not look at. You can't gawk at it without being somewhat just baffled by what they're able to do, but it's also so good to listen to. And yeah, it's probably not gonna, you know, be taking the UK by storm in the same way that like Britpop did, or even the same way that like post-punk revival did in the 2000s, you know, the new wave of the 80s. There's so many genres that were able to be unique but break through into the mainstream and have chart-topping songs throughout all those genres I just mentioned. This new wave isn't going to be able to do that. It's too niche sounding, it's too inaccessible, but if you're in the know, you know how good this is and how creative and how rambunctious it all is, because these bands at the moment are really crafting some really, really interesting music. It is a shame that they're probably never going to top the charts in the same way that like Arctic Monkeys did, but you have to understand that they're probably not going to, for many obvious reasons. This music just isn't going to sell to that kind of wide audience, but what they're doing at the moment is fantastic, and I really admire what they're able to achieve with their music. It is baffling at times, but it's so, so good to listen to. That is what I'm going to end off on. I'm going to go 8.5 out of 10. This is a fantastic album, one of the best albums of the year. Might even grow to a 9 as the year goes on. Honestly, I did sort of teeter with maybe giving it a 9, but the score doesn't matter. My praise is all that matters at the end of the day. A true album of the year contender for many people, this is going to be for sure. But yeah, thank you for watching as always. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please tell me what you think of my review, if you agree with me, disagree with me, what you think of the album. Have a good day. Subscribe if you haven't already, that would be fantastic, and goodbye.